There's a surprising statistic I read recently that just floored me. The average person spends nearly 2 hours every day on household chores. That's over 700 hours a year, essentially a month of time spent cleaning, scrubbing, organizing, and worrying about the state of your home. I suppose I knew that all along, somewhere deep down. But seeing the numbers made it so much more real, so much heavier. Here I was, spending almost every free moment fighting a battle that I was destined to lose, it seemed, over and over again. Those numbers weren't just abstract, they were painfully, brutally real for me. For a long time, I thought I was alone in this cycle, caught between the endless mess and the dream of an effortlessly clean home. I envied those Instagram-worthy spaces, those pictures of pristine counters and floors so spotless they looked like mirrors. I'd wonder, how do people do it? How do they make it look so easy? I'd scroll past these images, feeling a knot tighten in my chest, the feeling of somehow failing at what seemed like the simplest thing, keeping my own home clean. But it wasn't simple at all. It was exhausting, overwhelming, and all-consuming. I remember days where I'd start scrubbing the bathroom, only to end up mopping the kitchen floor, organizing the closet, and then collapsing on the couch surrounded by even more clutter than before. There was a sadness that clung to these routines, like I was trying to hold water in my hands only to watch it slip through my fingers, over and over again. The worst part was how it affected my mental health. I'd come home from a long day at work, desperate to unwind, but all I could see was the mess, dishes piled up, laundry spilling over the baskets, floors streaked with dust and remnants of meals I didn't have the energy to clean up the night before. Every surface seemed to remind me of everything I hadn't done, every little failure etched into the fingerprints and smudges. It felt like my home was judging me, and the weight of that silent judgment was crushing. And then came the shame. Shame that I wasn't one of those people who could just figure it out, who could somehow balance it all. I remember once inviting a friend over, and she politely asked for a glass of water. As I opened the cabinet, dishes came clattering down. She laughed it off, but inside, I was mortified. I could feel the heat rise to my cheeks, my heart pounding as I tried to make excuses, tried to brush it off. "I've just been so busy," I'd stammer. But the truth was, I felt trapped in my own mess, in a cycle of exhaustion that only seemed to deepen. And it wasn't just the physical mess, it was the emotional weight of it all, the constant feeling that I was one spill, one pile, one smudge away from completely losing control. I started avoiding inviting people over. I'd skip nights out because I was too tired, when the reality was that I was too embarrassed to come home to the mess, too ashamed to let anyone else see what was hidden behind my front door. Every corner of my home felt like a reminder of my failure, and I'd wonder how everyone else managed it with seemingly no effort at all. I can remember one particular Saturday morning, waking up with every intention of tackling the whole house. I'd tell myself that today was the day I'd finally get it right. I'd make lists, map out a plan in my head, get all the cleaning supplies ready. But an hour in, after scrubbing the stove for what felt like forever and barely making a dent in the laundry pile, I'd be ready to throw in the towel. I'd sit on the floor, staring at all the tasks that still loomed, feeling utterly defeated. Tears would well up in my eyes, and I'd wonder why something as simple as keeping a clean home was so overwhelmingly hard for me. It felt like I was constantly racing, constantly trying to keep up, but never quite getting there. And then there were the late nights, the times I'd lie in bed, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, haunted by the mess that awaited me the next day. I'd toss and turn, thinking about the stains in the carpet, the dust gathering in corners, the dishes piling up in the sink. It felt like my home was this living, breathing entity, this constant reminder of everything I couldn't get right. I remember thinking, why can't I have that effortlessly clean home? Why can't I be that person who just has it all together? The self-doubt ate away at me slowly, bit by bit. It wasn't just about the mess anymore, it was about feeling like I was failing at life itself. Like I wasn't good enough, wasn't capable enough, wasn't worthy of a peaceful, beautiful home. The clutter became a reflection of everything I felt inside, disorganized, chaotic, out of control. And that realization only deepened the shame, made me feel even smaller, even more defeated. I would sit there, surrounded by piles of clutter, and feel this overwhelming sadness wash over me. It was as though the mess had become a metaphor for everything else in my life that felt tangled and out of reach. I wanted, desperately, to be able to sit on my couch and feel a sense of peace, a sense of pride in my home. I wanted to walk through my front door and feel that welcoming embrace, that feeling of finally being home. But instead, all I felt was overwhelmed, suffocated by the mess, by the constant reminders of everything I couldn't seem to get right. And it wasn't just my own self-image that suffered, it affected my relationships too. I found myself pulling back from friends and family, making excuses to avoid visits or gatherings. "Oh, I'm just so busy these days," I'd say, but the truth was, I didn't want anyone to see my house, to see the mess that I lived in every day. I didn't want them to judge me, to see the truth of how much I was struggling. I felt like I was living in this constant state of hiding, this constant fear of being found out as someone who couldn't keep up, who couldn't maintain the simplest of routines. My anxiety skyrocketed. I'd find myself pacing through the rooms, moving things around aimlessly, trying to create order out of chaos, but only managing to create even more mess. I felt like I was drowning, like my home had become this endless maze that I couldn't escape from. It wasn't just a physical mess anymore, it was an emotional weight, a burden that I carried with me wherever I went. I wanted so badly to be one of those people who could say they had it all together, who could welcome guests into their home without a second thought. I wanted to be the person who could breeze through cleaning routines, who could maintain a space that felt warm, inviting, and peaceful. But that wasn't my reality. My reality was late nights spent scrubbing floors, only to see them dirted again the next morning. My reality was feeling exhausted, defeated, and hopeless, constantly at odds with the place that was supposed to bring me comfort and peace. So, I kept pushing, kept trying, kept hoping that someday, somehow, I'd figure it all out. But deep down, I wondered if that day would ever come, if I'd ever get to experience that elusive feeling of an effortlessly clean, peaceful home. And until then, I would keep fighting, keep struggling, and keep dreaming of a day when my home would finally feel like the haven I so desperately wanted it to be. Continuing from where I left off, the struggle to maintain a clean home weighed heavily on my spirit. But something deep inside me shifted one quiet evening. As I sat on the floor surrounded by the remnants of my chaotic day, I realized I had two choices: to remain trapped in this never-ending cycle of clutter and shame, or to take a step forward, no matter how small. It was a moment of clarity that would ignite a transformation I desperately needed. I began to understand that the first step in overcoming my struggles with homekeeping was acknowledging that I couldn't do it all at once. The idea of an effortlessly clean home had overwhelmed me for too long, making me feel inadequate and defeated. I had to redefine what effortless meant for me. It became clear that this journey wasn't about perfection, it was about progress. One night, with a cup of herbal tea cradled in my hands, I decided to start small. I chose one area of my home, the kitchen countertop. It was the focal point of chaos, a place where papers piled up, dishes lingered, and crumbs seemed to multiply. I set a timer for just 15 minutes, allowing myself to focus solely on that space. The goal was not to complete the entire kitchen but to create a little pocket of peace amid the storm. As I began clearing away the clutter, I felt a surge of energy and clarity. Each item I put away brought a sense of accomplishment, however small. That day, I learned about the power of microtasks, breaking down overwhelming tasks into manageable chunks. In the days that followed, I implemented this simple principle across my home. Each room became a designated 15-minute zone, where I would focus on just one area for a short period. I discovered that using a timer transformed mundane cleaning into a game. I felt empowered with every small victory. I decluttered my bedroom, cleared off the coffee table, and even tackled the laundry pile one small load at a time. The more I achieved, the more motivated I felt to keep going. It was a snowball effect that started with just a few minutes here and there. Another significant change was creating a routine that worked for me. I needed a system that aligned with my life, one that would not add to my stress but rather reduce it. I started to map out a weekly schedule, dedicating specific days to certain chores. I quickly learned about the concept of cleaning zones, where I would focus on one room or area each day. Mondays became bathroom days, Tuesdays for kitchen cleanup, and so on. This structure helped me develop consistency and ease. I no longer felt overwhelmed by the entire house staring back at me. Instead, I approached each task with a sense of purpose. As I continued my journey, I realized the importance of setting up systems that would prevent clutter from returning. I began to adopt a one-in, one-out policy, which meant for every new item I brought into my home, I'd let go of another. This practice made me more intentional about my purchases, reducing the likelihood of accumulating things that would become future clutter. My space began to breathe again, and I felt lighter, both physically and emotionally. I also sought support from my friends and family. I reached out to those who seemed to have it all together and asked for their tips and tricks. Surprisingly, many were more than willing to share their own struggles. They opened up about their methods, their systems, and how they tackled chores. This shared experience fostered a sense of community, reminding me that I was not alone in my battles. I began to appreciate the beauty of imperfection in my home and in my journey. As the weeks turned into months, I found myself not just managing my home but enjoying it. I was rediscovering spaces I had long neglected, creating cozy corners filled with warmth and light. The more I took control of my environment, the more I felt in control of my life. I learned to embrace the messiness of the process while celebrating the little wins. This newfound sense of empowerment led me to explore various resources and books on homekeeping. One particular title stood out to me: Effortless Homekeeping, Streamline Your Routine and Enjoy a Clean Home. This book resonated deeply with me, offering practical strategies that aligned perfectly with the methods I had been implementing. It taught me how to further streamline my routines and take my efforts to the next level. With tips on creating lasting habits and finding joy in the cleaning process, it truly transformed my relationship with homekeeping. If you find yourself resonating with my story, I encourage you to grab a copy of Effortless Homekeeping, Streamline Your Routine and Enjoy a Clean Home. It has the potential to guide you toward a cleaner, more organized space and a more peaceful mind. You can find a digital copy available at libriffy.com. The link is in the description. Take the first step today, and let this book help you on your journey to creating the home of your dreams. Your path to effortless homekeeping awaits.